And aloha! Was that an absolute debacle? Oh, that was bad. But I got to bring in a buddy of mine first. Please, let's welcome Ryan from the Hockey Hound. Ryan, how are you doing?
Good guy. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. What a show to bring you in on. And the Blues came. Will the real St. Louis Blues please show up at the Staples Center in L.A.?
I don't know how much of that you can really blame on Bennington, though. I mean, to me, that looks really more defense than anything.
Well, you know what? You know who the Blues need in L.A. today?
Who's that?
This gentleman, Mr. Terry Yake, former Blues centerman and the first person to ever score a hat trick for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Please give a huge BlueNote Fan Report. We welcome to Mr. Terry Yake. Terry, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, thank you, fellas.
Hey, welcome to the
weather's beautiful here, and we're enjoying California.
Must be nice.
Oh yeah, you're actually in LA, if I remember. Am I right?
Actually, in Orange County, just south of Anaheim, about 30 minutes from Anaheim, in a town called Huntington Beach, right on the water.
Okay, I know the area very well. So, how quick would it take you to chop in your car, get up, put your gear on, and get 27 back on the ice?
53 minutes, actually. And I would love to get 27 back on the ice, but it might not be my 27 that needs to get on the ice. I'd love to get Alex Pietrangelo back on the ice because that's one of the key cogs the Blues are missing right now.
Okay, well, you know that I'm guessing you didn't hear the news today. He was put on LTIR by the Vegas Golden Knights from his wrist.
Yeah, I saw that he wasn't playing the last couple games. I didn't know that was the case, but he's still a huge loss for the Blues right now. I mean, in my estimation, he was one of the best defensive defensemen in the National Hockey League. There are maybe one or two defensemen in the entire league I would have even considered ever trading him for. And the loss of him, and now with Colton Parayko out, all the injuries, I think it's just been a tough haul for the Blues right now. And, tonight I think has been a real sign of exactly some of the problems they're having. Getting outshot, outplayed as badly as they did in the first period. They put themselves in a deep hole in this game already.
Yep, I agree. Ryan, I'm going to let you have this. Me and Terry know each other, so I know this is your first time. Ryan, go ahead.
First off, Mr. Yake, I want to say it's a pleasure meeting you finally. The Blues are down in a hole, but let's be realistic. It's not as bad as a hole as what the Rangers put on the Philadelphia Flyers a little bit ago. That was pathetic.
So explain to me, because I just heard the end of the story today. They had no coaches tonight and they win.
Yeah.
Not just a little bit. They pull it out in overtime in dramatic fashion. They were up 9-0 late in the third period. What the heck? Does that show you that sometimes maybe the coaches are the problem? They did this without a coaching staff.
Yeah, and that's what I even posted on Hockey Hound too. I told him, I was like, if this is what the Rangers can do without David Quinn and behind the bench, go ahead and call them up, say don't ever come back again. We're running. That was a total legitimate embarrassment. And if I was the Philadelphia Flyers, I would go back and rethink my whole entire game plan, because I just got beat 9-0 by a team without a legitimate NHL coach. The coach is in the AHL.
That's pretty that is classic stuff right there. Don't kid yourself. It's happened in the past. If you don't think Brett Hull, Al McInnes, and some others, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, his pairs, Mario Lemieux weren't coaching their teams, it's happened before.
Yeah, the Gentleman had 6 points in the second period alone.
Yeah, with a hat trick apparently. That's a heck of a period. That's a good season for some guys. That's a great period for others.
Oh man, just crazy. So I know you're watching the game, Terry, and we've talked before. I know you watch all the games. So what do the Blues need to do coming out? What is going on in the locker room right now? What is Craig Berube talking to his guys? What's he telling them?
Well, this might have been one of those periods where he literally doesn't even bother going in because it was so bad that I think the guys already know what the problem is. What they've got to do coming into the second and third is something they can't do right now, which is get healthy. So that being said, there's going to have to be an effort like they had a couple shifts late in the period. The third and fourth line got out there, created a little bit of pressure, got the Kings hemmed in their own zone. It's going to start with a few shifts like that, which rolls into the next shift. Then the big line comes out. Somebody draws a penalty. You get one back on the power play. You work your way back into this game slowly. The way they're playing, they're not going to get back into it right away. It's going to have to be a concerted effort with shift after shift of tenacious pressure and turn the game around with a couple power plays, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually agree. I got a good question for you here from Kevin Nash Dixon. He wants to know who your Mount Rushmore of Blues are.
Yeah, I read that post actually this morning on Facebook, and you know what? It's a real tough one. It's hard to put anybody on Mount Rushmore for St. Louis Blues outside of one guy, and that's obviously Brett Hull. I would think you could probably argue every other one between, you can't argue against McInnes. You certainly can't argue against Bernie Federico. But then again, how do you argue against Bobby Plager or Gary Unger? Yeah. I mean, I would put Alex Pietrangelo in there. He captained the team to its first Stanley Cup. I mean, Chris Pronger won a Norris and a Hart Trophy in the same years with a Blues uniform on. So after Brett Hull, I don't think there's really anyone. You could argue pretty much anybody, but number 16 is probably on everybody's list because he did some amazing things, not just for 1 year, but he did some amazing things for 8 or 10 years, and that's probably the only guarantee. The rest of them, I'll leave them up for the media to debate.
I thought you were going to say, "Oh, I belong up there."
No, I probably don't belong. I'm one of the rocks that are tumbling down the bottom of the hill.
I love it. So, hey, I got a quick question for you, and I know we talked about this before. Who was your favorite player to play with? Who was the guy that you enjoyed playing with the most?
Well, I had a couple years as a roommate with Pierre Turgeon, and when I got a chance to play with him, you saw really how good he was. I got to play with some pretty good players in Hartford, and Ron Francis and Pat Verbeek and Kevin Dineen, and then a short stint, like a little preseason with Paul Correa, then Doug Gilmour in Toronto, Adam Oates, and others in Washington. But seeing Turgeon do his stuff night in and night out, every game, he was the kind of guy that I would like to have played with because he was such a great passer. You're probably, if you play with Turgeon, you're probably going to get 20 before the season even starts because there's going to be 20 easy ones that are basically gimmies. And if you're a 20 goal scorer, you suddenly became a 30 or 40 goal scorer. So he's the kind of guy that if I had a chance to play a whole season with, out of all the guys I played with, he would be my centerman.
I remember Pierre. He really knew how to light things up. Ryan, go ahead, bud.
Man, I've got a long list of questions. I wrote a few out. The one that stands out to me is in 92-93, you made your first NHL season. That was your breakthrough and stuff like that. The following year, you went over to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks and played what was their inaugural season. Kind of touch a little bit on what that was like, knowing that you finally made that moment in the NHL, and then kind of talk a little bit about what it was like playing in a new atmosphere in front of fans that never had a hockey team before.
So the irony is in Hartford, I spent 4 years in Hartford. I had a wonderful season in the American Hockey League in my first year, and then things I didn't make the team my second year. And then things kind of fell apart in the American Hockey League. I got a rejuvenated career in my third season in Hartford after only playing a few games in the first two with Jimmy Roberts. We went on to win the Calder Cup, and I played 19 games in the National Hockey League that year. So got a little bit of a taste, and obviously it's where I wanted to be. The following year, things fell backwards again. I ended up in the American Hockey League. And by my fifth year in Hartford, I was pretty much deemed to the American Hockey League. And the irony is after being called up for 18 different times, I got called up because John Cullen got suspended for one game. When he got suspended, I got called up and they told me, you're going to only come for one game. I got up there. I played well. I had a goal and assist. And they said, we want you to come on the road trip to Ottawa. So I left on the plane with not even a toothbrush, not a hat, not a scarf, nothing, just put the soup on the back of my back. And we're going up to Northern Canada in, late November where it was cold. So I go up there and I get a goal and assist in my second game. And from that point on, things just kind of rolled for me. I had a good season. I had 53 points, but then I got left unprotected by Hartford. It was a bit of a shock, but when you look at the choices that you're going to hopefully get picked up by either Anaheim or Florida, those two options were pretty darn good. And I was fortunate enough to get picked up by Anaheim. Loved it out here. The first season in Anaheim was amazing. Brand new building, new fans. Most of them didn't even know what offside was or icing was, but they were into the game and they loved it. Disney, of course, put on a show with cheerleaders and Wild Wing, the new mascot, and things coming out of the stands. Their show was second to none in the National Hockey League, and they revolutionized the entertainment value of hockey here in the NHL, really, not just in Anaheim, but all over the NHL. So that season was wonderful. Gave me a chance to really get my feet wet. And because all of us had come from teams that basically had left us unprotected, we were all expansion players. Really, nobody was above anybody else. So it was a really nice group of guys, all like myself, who were rejected from their previous teams and had an opportunity to grow and build something together. And, you know, we had a fairly successful season, winning 33 games and just missing out on the playoffs. And from there, it felt good. But, you know, I'll tell you, though, when you're in the National Hockey League, especially when you're in the situation I was in for the first 6 years, you just never feel like your job is safe. So every night you feel like you're battling for position. You're battling for ice time. You're battling for, you know, stay in the lineup or battling to get your next shift. And this year in Anaheim, the first year in 93, 94 was one of the first seasons that I actually felt comfortable on the ice and was able to go out and play the game. But then unfortunately for me, that whole process started over again the next year where I was battling for my next shift, my next game, because of a contract, I got traded to Toronto, and I obviously fell down the depth chart behind a very good group of players in Toronto, and suddenly I'm in and out of the lineup again. So the National Hockey League is a very difficult place to get to, and just as difficult to stay there on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, you told that story to me before, Terry, about not having your toothbrush or anything, and someone brought up a comment that says, do hockey players even need toothbrushes?
Actually, I was only 5 years in. I did at the time. I still had all my teeth, so
I had them all then.
I needed it at that point.
And Tanner says you got to flip your underwear inside out and backwards on that trip.
Yeah, actually, after the Ottawa game, we went to Montreal, and I did some clothes shopping, bought a suit jacket, bought an overcoat and some clothes to get me through the rest of the road trip.
Yeah, I would have charged that to the team on that one. Well, hey, Terry, the game's just about back on. You know I do a second intermission. Would you be would you be willing to come back on a second intermission with me and Ryan?
Absolutely. If you guys want to, it's no problem at all.
Yeah, hey, Terry, I appreciate this. I know, you and me have been chatting a lot. And I say thank you, sir.
All right, let's hope the Blues can get it within one going into the third. That'd be a good goal. Who scores? Jordan Kyrou.
Kyrou, I like that. I'm going with Bozak. With Bozak. Right? Ryan? Who scores, bud? I may have lost me.
We talked about.
So, hey, well, it's time to go. We got to go. This is Guy the Wild Blues fan. Thing.
Right.
Aloha. Mahalo. I'll try and get back on for a little bit more for the second intermission. I can't wait to talk to Terry Yake with Ryan from the Hockey Hound, and I got Jeremy the Fox Miller in my ear, keeping me going. So this is Guy saying aloha, mahalo, and I'll catch you on the second intermission show of the Blue Note Fan Report.